It's necessarily the excellence in playing or the excellence in singing, but it's the spirit it exudes to you, especially when you're in a corporate body, because you know that you're building a habitation for God to manifest. And you know, so that's, and I'm trying, you know, to let the team know that something I wrote was, when if you're on a team and you're in the praise and worship team, you got to understand that it's not a personal conflict. You know, if you start trying to figure out why the congregation don't respond, or why we're not in sync and everything, you can internalize it. And it becomes about you instead of about God. It should be about God first, even if the church doesn't go in, as we've been taught. If they don't want to go in, somebody has to go in and be a forerunner and say, well, if they won't go, I'll go, and then I'll provoke them to respond. To change the whole atmosphere. That's what we normally do. You know, I'm a believer in that you can actually create an atmosphere where God can come in and do what He needs to do. That those that have been, like in the praise team, if whoever dropped the baton, just got to be sensitive enough. Don't blame nobody. Just get the job done, like you said. Because the most important thing is not if somebody's doing it right, but what was the affirmation of the Spirit of God? Was God putting His hand on it, His signature on it? That's more important than anything else.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You know, we got to be sensitive to, sometimes there's frustration or not quite. Sometimes God's dealing with a person. If you're going through the pruning stage, it's an ugly stage. You got to put up with some people's pruning while you might be in the father stage, right? Are we willing to be fathers now? You say, man, I'm frustrated. I want to enter in. Well, maybe we got to bring them in. So there's something that God begins to do in you. And there was a guy. He said this. It was really good. There's three robings that a person goes through in their walk with God. You look at Joseph, and his father puts a robe on him, right? But then his brothers strip it from him. That robe represented his vision, and it's fresh. He's just, you know, when you first hear the call of God, you know your gifts, you know your purpose. You're seeking God, you're feeling His presence, and then other people see that and they get jealous. And they want to strip, and they want to take your robe from you. No one can take your purpose and destiny from you, even if they take the robe. They stripped him and threw him in a pit. They sold him off into slavery. He then ends up what? He goes in Potiphar. So there's strippings, right? There's strippings. He got stripped of that robe. He then goes in Potiphar's house. Now, it's not his dream that they're trying to strip. All the time it's the dreams being attacked. But now you have Potiphar's wife that strips him of his clothing because he tried to be in Potiphar's house. And the only way you're going to be in this house is you and I are we're going to get it on. And he was like, no, we're not going to do this. And he was willing to leave his robe and his clothing. See, he was in Potiphar's house. And finally, it looked like maybe this is the dream. I'm in a high-ranking place. Maybe this is finally the dream that I had. And in ministry and in call and purpose in life, you got to be willing to leave some things. See, God won't let you fulfill your dream unless you're willing to leave some things. And so, a person can be going through this stripping place where some things are being taken from them, and all of a sudden he runs out of that place naked. He gets falsely accused. He gets put in the prison. Where the royal people, the crimes have been committed against people in high-ranking place. He was now put in prison, falsely accused, and stripped of that. Now he's got on prisoner's clothes. But then eventually somebody remembers that he can interpret dreams. And he goes before Pharaoh. And they put on new clothing on him. And now his brothers don't recognize him. So if you're getting stripped, just say, I'm just getting ready for my next pair of clothes. If you say, I feel like it's an ugly stage, hey, I'm just getting beautified. I'm about to blossom. I'm being pruned. And so we've got to realize when we're doing ministry together, and sometimes there's frustration. Sometimes it's a revelation of what God's doing in them. But sometimes if I can't handle the frustration, it's something God's doing in me. So what are some other questions you guys have about thoughts pushing up ministry? Amen. She's coming up, okay? Anyone else? Go ahead and come up here if you have a thought or question about ministry. There's a phrase that it's in management, And if you don't know management's involved in church, then you've never done ministry in your life, right? But it's called these 3 words: feed the monkeys. Part of the frustration in ministry is communication. We all communicate differently, right? So some people are very vocal, other people are not as vocal. And if you get non-vocal people around a lot of people are vocal, they may not say anything. We've got to learn to tap in and draw out of some people. And other people, you've got to try to keep them down a little bit. You say too much, right? So we got to learn how to balance that. But feed the monkeys is this. I attend this church. I have a conversation with Apostle Moffat about, hey, here's this problem we got to deal with. And it's a real problem. It's a real issue. Because we've had the problem, because I've discussed the problem with Apostle Moffat, in my mind, he doesn't know it. The monkey is the problem that needs fed and needs dealt with. And I've been feeding the monkey. But now I've told Apostle Moffat about it in a conversation. He thinks we just talked about it. But he doesn't know that I left the monkey with him.
Right.
He then comes back later, why haven't you done anything about this? He goes, what are you talking about? They left the monkey at your lap. You better feed that monkey, because now it's your problem. You make it a team effort. You say, yeah, hey, that's a great problem. And one thing to track it so I don't forget about it, now with this day and age of email, would you email me about that and put the subject on? It's so important to me. And I got a lot going on. I want to make sure I don't forget that. And then when you email me that, by the way, give me some of your ideas how to fix it, because that's a good idea. I don't know. And if you know what? I don't take any suggestions unless you have an idea. So if you're not ready to give me some ideas, pray on it some more. Because you want me to pray on it and figure it out. I had one guy who used to come to me, I used to disciple. And eventually, after a couple hours, 3 hours, we finally figured out what was going on. He goes, man, it was so good. Why did it take you 3 hours? I used to think, man, why did it? I said, you know why? Because you don't pray about it. It's so easy for you to come to me. Why don't you pray on it a little bit and come with some ideas of what's going on so we can get to it quicker? Right? So we got to make sure, feeding the monkeys, make sure they don't just drop, hey, we got a problem with this praise and worship. You think you've had a conversation, you get busy, stuff's happening, you forget about it, they get offended and they leave. You know what? A great problem. Will you email me about that? And let's talk about that again. And tell me some available times we can talk, and I'll confirm with you. So you've not promised anything. You make sure there's an agreed understanding about that.
Yes. Yesterday you read from Acts chapter 3 about Peter and John, and about the lame man at the beautiful gate. And also, I want to know, you also said that the man, he already kind of knew that Jesus was already in the midst. You know, that he said that he knew that Jesus had been passing by that way many a times. And also, I wanted to know, was it because the man was lazy, or was it because the man was depressed, or was it because the man was fearful?
Yeah. Well, I personally believe, in talking about last night, the chronos, there's the timing, that's just the days, minutes, seconds, nothing really feeling anointing about that. Or there's a kairos moment when God chooses to move. Listen, you can spit in somebody's eye and all they're going to get is a wet eye. You know, we can't just do it because Jesus did it. Jesus sometimes spit. Sometimes he took him out of the city. Sometimes he laid hands on him. Sometimes he spoke a word. We try to become the church of, okay, John the Baptist, he got that. Now we become Baptists. You know, we become the mud and the eye church. You know, we are so easy. We so much want results. And that's